Hi guys, and a big hello to all the Sega fans out there. I just wanted to give a brief overview of the Sega CD Model 1 setup here. I haven't seen too many videos like this, just going over the hardware. Maybe some people want to see some of the hookups of the system, or just want to see how the whole setup looks in general, so I figured I'd just make a quick video here. So as you can see, the part we're going to be focusing on is the bottom one right here. That is actually the Sega CD itself. This is the Sega Genesis up here. They're actually two separate units. The Sega CD was actually an add-on release for the Genesis that gave it CD-ROM capabilities. Unfortunately, ultimately it flopped due to the fact that it cost $300 and had a small yet still very good library of games. Just unfortunately wasn't enough to justify the price tag, and ultimately it didn't work out. So anyway, on to the hardware here. As you can see on the bottom, there's the Model 1 version of the Sega CD. It sits underneath the Genesis as opposed to the Model 2, which sits beside it. On the front here, you can see it's a slot loading design. It's got a tray that pops out, and that's where you put your disc in. There's a close-up with the logo there. It's pretty cool, the logo itself. It actually says CD, but it also is the picture of a CD. So that's kind of clever on Sega's half. And then over to the right here, we have a couple lights. The ready light, which is a solid green when there's power to the system, and then the access light, which blinks red when the CD is being read. And then, of course, here we have the Genesis that sits on top of it. It just snaps on. It's a little connector on the side there. I'll show you that in a second. So that is a Model 1 Genesis right there. Enthusiasts will note that it is a non-high definition graphics model, which is usually the logo on the top there, which usually indicates that there's the somewhat lower quality sound processor in it, which kind of gives it a somewhat worse sound quality than some of the earlier Model 1 systems, but it's still very good. Here we also just want to point out the headphone port for the system, which will be used with the mixing cable that I'll explain later. So again, there's the front, and then we're going to go around to the side here real quick. Hopefully without dropping it off my desk. And then right here you'll see the connector that connects both the units together. Interesting thing I noticed down here is it's almost like a little handle under here that you can kind of hold the system with. I wouldn't recommend doing that probably, but I'm guessing that's what it's for. Quick note about how the systems are put together as well. The Genesis just kind of slides on. In between there is a couple of metal plates to shield some of the RF signals, or as they call it, radiation. So just, in other words, keep the FCC happy. And it also kind of holds the Genesis onto the unit itself. So there's that side there. And we're going to turn to the back here. And then we can see here, it's kind of got a small vent that kind of mimics the Genesis vent quite nicely. And then right here you can see we have some of the inputs for the system. Do my best to hold the camera steady here while I point. Right here we have the stereo RCA hookups. So if you wanted to grab stereo sound out of your Sega CD back in the day, you'd hook this up to your stereo. And that's where this piece comes in right here, the mixing cable. Will hook up to the headphone port on the front of the Genesis and be connected to this little port right here. What that allowed for was to give the Sega CD sound for the Genesis, so sound for Genesis games would be played out here in stereo, as well as sound effects from the Genesis used in Sega CD games. For instance, the jumping sound Sonic makes in Sonic CD will be played through the Genesis off its FM synthesizer. Can be fed through with that mixing cable through here, and then mixed out the back to that port right here. And then of course right here we have the power input. When combined with Genesis 32X, this thing has a whopping 3 power supplies, and that's just one out of the 3 at the moment. So anyway, that mixing cable is kind of essential back in the day when a lot of people were still using the RF adapter. That of course only had mono sound, or even if you're using the AV cable on the Model 1 Genesis, only output mono sound as well. So if you wanted to get stereo sound without having to buy a Y adapter, you could just use the included mixing cable here, pipe it in there, and then pipe out your mixed stereo sound over here. So show that aside over next to the 32X that I have to put on here. As I mentioned earlier, the Sega CD unfortunately does not work. It's having trouble reading discs, so I hope to eventually solve that problem, and then we'll be able to put that on there. Okay, so back to the walk around here. On this side, you'll notice we have a get the camera steady here. Sorry, everybody's sick. Get that adjusted. Okay, you'll see we have a lock, and what that does is kind of the cable management for the mixing cable. Once again, so you'd slide it forward, and that would lock the cable in, and kind of neatly secure the mixing cable. Mine's a little sticky for some reason. Slide it back, and it's the unlocked position. Alright, so we'll slide it back around to the front here. There we are. And I'm going to put this over my lap so you guys can have a look at the bottom. Alright, so on the bottom here, kind of looks like the bottom of the Genesis. Sorry about the glare from the light, hope you can see it. So let's see here, right over here we have the usual FCC warnings. This actually also happens to be a refurbished unit, so we have that little refurbished sticker there. The serial number of the unit, and you can actually see the manufacture date, September 1992. And then the usual "if you need help" sticker, and Sega's number. Should try calling that and see if anybody picks up. Kind of funny if the helpline was still there. Maybe they could help me fix my Sega CD. Anyway, this is the bottom, couple of vents, low view of the feet, and alright, so I'm just gonna, there's that handle again, as you can see. I think it's a handle. I don't know, maybe somebody else knows what that is and could let me know in the comments section. Alright. Yeah, so, you know, overall, I kind of like this system. It's you know, I like it, this one, like the way it's set up. I do have the complete Model 2 set up with the 32X on it. And, I mean, I've had that one since I was younger, and I've always wanted a Model 1 system. And I was finally able to pick one up last week, which is, of course, the one you're looking at here. And, I don't know, this one just seems overall, it just has that cooler look to it. I mean, not bashing the Model 2 or anything. I like that one a lot. Obviously, again, I grew up with that one, but kind of always liked the Model 1. It just seemed a little bit neater. Sega CD looks a little cooler. You know, just the overall design of the original system. You know, a lot of old Sega fans like this system, so a little close up of the front. You know, again, it's all personal preference. I just think this one looks a little bit cooler. Come on, get in focus. So, yeah. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little run around. One more treat for you. I'm going to upload with this video a direct feed of the Model 1 BIOS running. So maybe make that a couple minutes long so you guys can actually see the direct capture of it versus some of the other emulated captures you've seen on YouTube. So once again, I hope you enjoyed this, and long live Sega. Bye guys.